Pokemon Legends Arceus is right around the corner, and with that, there's a lot of new information that's coming out and everything that's happening, and there's so much. We got Hisuian Voltorb, but when you start the game, you get your 3 starter choices. Which one do you pick? Well, this video is going to go into which one I'm going to pick and which one I think you might want to pick, and if there is Hisuian variants, then I'll release a video on that later. But for now, let's go ahead and buckle in and get into the video. Okay, let's go ahead and start our run through. Keep in mind, these are based on the original versions of these Pokemon. So Typhlosion, for example, would be the Johto version of the Typhlosion. If there is a new Hisuian version of these Pokemon, then I will release another video out for those. But for now, we're going to run through as if this is what we're going to get, because this is what we know. So Typhlosion is the mono fire type Pokemon. It is going to be Cyndaquil at the start of the game. Level 14, it's going to evolve into Quilava, and at level 36, again into Typhlosion. Now keep in mind, again, we don't know everything that's going to work in this game. I would assume the levels are going to be about the same for the Pokemon to evolve, but there could be a difference for any of these things here. So stats, we're looking HP 78, attack 84, defense 78, special attack 109, special defense 85, and speed 100. So Typhlosion actually has a pretty good base speed. That's kind of like upper middle there, and that's going to outspeed a lot of things that have that 90 speed tier. And then its special attack is also pretty good at 109. No stats of it are going to really be crazy good or excel over everything in the game, but it has a pretty balanced stat spread here. Its bulk is kind of middle ground, or a little lower middle ground with the HP and defense both at 78, but it's still in that middle kind of category. It's not necessarily going to get one-shotted by everything, but there are going to be some threats, especially with its weaknesses, that are going to be able to kind of drop it down really fast. So let's go ahead and take a look at the resistances and weaknesses. So weaknesses, it's going to have 3: ground, rock, and water, and it's all going to be 2x effective to this Pokemon. So just keep that in mind. You want to be aware of your big threats to this Pokemon that are going to be in the Hisuian version of this game, Legends Arceus. So keep that in mind for the ground, rock, and water. However, it does have quite a few resistances, 6 different resistances, and that's going to be bug, steel, fire, grass, ice, and fairy typings. Now, all of these resistances are going to be a 50% resistance, so it's going to be half the damage that you would normally take from those typings. Again, bug, steel, fire, grass, ice, and fairy typings. So this is pretty good coverage. Anytime you have twice the resistances than you do the weaknesses, that's a pretty good resistance spread for me. So Typhlosion, I always like having a fire type Pokemon. This could be the one for you. However, I'm probably going to pick a different one, which I'll talk about later in the video. Next up is the mighty Samurott. Now, this is the one that if there is a Hisuian version of this Pokemon, I think could probably be the absolute coolest as far as the avatar, what it looks like. I think this has a lot of credence to go very samurai-ish with Samurott here. It already is a very cool-looking Pokemon in and of itself generally, but I think this could be the really the coolest of the Hisuian variants if they do it right. Now, and that's assuming they have one. Now, it's going to start off as Oshawott, and then it's going to evolve at level 17 into Duat, and then at level 36, again into the Samurott. So just keep that in mind, and this is a mono water type Pokemon, so just like the Typhlosion is mono, the Samurott is also a mono typing. Now, the stat spread here is going to be HP 95, attack 100, defense 85, special attack 108, special defense 70, and speed 70. So we've got some inverted stats here to the Typhlosion. HP is a little higher. It's going to be that 95, so not too bad for an HP stat. It's actually pretty good. And its attack and special attack stats are both going to be 100 or more, with the special attack being 108 and being the highest. So you've got some usability here and possible different move pools, whether you're using physical attacks or special attacks. It kind of has the versatility to do both, depending on move pools and what you have. Its bulk is pretty okay with the exception of that special defense at 70, so you want to make sure you're not being hit with thunderbolts or anything like that along the special lines of thing, especially if it's a weakness typing to this Pokemon, because it's not going to tank it very well. And then the speed is a little on the slower end of things, and keep in mind with Legends of Arceus, there are some new mechanics in this game that could allow you, based on your speed and your opponent's speed, to go multiple times in a row. So you want to keep that in mind with the speed stat here. Unless you're using a Trick Room and that actually affects that new mechanic, then maybe you want to pick this Pokemon a little bit more. But just be careful of that speed stat and how that new mechanic is. Okay, now moving on to resistances and weaknesses. It is going to have 2 weaknesses. Grass and Electric, both are going to be a 2x weakness, so just keep that in mind, especially for any of those special attack moves, as it has that lower special defense. Its resistances is going to have 4. Steel, Fire, Water, and Ice typing. All of these, again, are going to be a 50% resistance for you, so you're going to take half the damage that you normally would from those typings. And this is, again, twice as many resistances as it has weaknesses, so just like the Typhlosion in that respect, except 1 less weakness and 2 less resistances. So I like Samurott a lot, and like I said, I think that this could be the Pokemon that has the best looking Hisuian variant, if it does get one. But is this the Pokemon that I'm going to choose? Let's take a look. Finally, we get to the third Pokemon here, Decidueye. Now, I hope I'm saying that right. Nobody seems to know 100%, but Decidueye is what I've said, so that's what I'm going to stick to it here. Now, this is going to break the mold. It is not like the other 2 Pokemon. It is going to be a dual typing between Grass and Ghost type. Now, one important thing to note is that it's Stage 1, the Rowlet, which is what you're going to get at the beginning of the game, and even at Stage 2, are both going to be Grass and Flying type, and then when it evolves into that Stage 3 Decidueye, it's going to be that Grass Ghost typing, so that's when the secondary typing changes. So it starts Grass Flying and then becomes Grass Ghost at the final stage. Okay, so at the start of the game, you have Rowlet, and it will evolve at level 17 into Dartrix, and then again at level 34 into Decidueye. And again, this is a dual typing Pokemon. Now, its stat spread is interesting because it has 3 different stats that are over 100, but the other 3 stats are a little on the lower side. So HP is 78, defense is 75, but special defense is 100, so it kind of makes up a little bit in bulk on the special defense side, but you're definitely not going to be looking to take a lot of physical damage. Now, because it is a ghost type, you don't have to worry about fighting physical damage, but you still want to worry about any other physical move hitting this Pokemon. Its attack is 107, and its special attack is also 100. So depending on what its move pool is in the Legends Arceus game, you may want to go attack, or you may want to do special attack. It has the possibility of being either or depending on the move pool. Classically, this Pokemon is more of a physical attack-oriented Pokemon. However, again, depending on the move pool in that game, you may be able to do a little bit of funky things with this Pokemon. The real downside to this Pokemon, as far as I can see it, is that its speed is 70, just like the Samurott. Its speed is 70, a little slower, and therefore going to be a little harder to take advantage of the new speed mechanic in the game. So you may want to be able to pair this with something, again, if Trick Room works, slow it down, have bad EVs for its speed, so that you can use a Trick Room and really maximize this Pokemon's usage potential to the best it can. Now, as far as weaknesses and resistances, this is where it kind of falls a little for me here, because it does have 5 weaknesses. Flying, Ghost, Fire, Ice, and Dark are all going to be a 2x weakness here. So be careful of any of those hitting you, especially if it's a physical move, because that's going to do detrimental damage to the Decidueye. Now, it only has 4 resistances, however, it does have 2 immunities. So because of its Grass Ghost typing, which mostly Ghost typing, it's going to be immune to the normal and fighting type attacks. So 2 typings are not going to be able to do any damage to this Pokemon. And then it is going to be able to resist Ground, Water, Grass, and Electric typings as well. Now those 4 resistances are going to be a 50% resistance, just like the others have, and so that's going to take half the damage that it normally would take. Now, I am normally a huge Ghost-type fan. I mean, my favorite Pokemon, Mimikyu and Gengar and Ghastly, I love the Ghost typing, and I do like Decidueye a lot, but I'm not sure if this is the Pokemon that I really, really want to use for Legends Arceus. So let's go ahead and look at the next scene. All right, so which of these 3 do we pick? I've got a little summary here with a couple breakdowns of their kind of high points, and I'm going to be honest, with Samurott, it was a little harder for me to come up with the 4 possible good features than it was for the other 2. For Samurott, it can be both attack or special attack. Both of those stat values are over 100, and maybe you can use a Swords Dance build. Again, not sure how all the combat's going to work in this Arceus game. Should be fairly similar to previous games, but there are new mechanics, so will Swords Dance be a thing? Will it be something we can use? Maybe, and that is obviously a nice build because it gives you a crazy high attack to use. It has the Shell Armor ability, which is nice because that reduces the chance of getting critical hits. It makes it so nothing's really going to hit you for critical unless there's an ability that's going to affect that. and then it looks cool. I mean, it really does. It is the coolest looking out of the three. So if you're an aesthetic player and you like to have things that look just totally BA and awesome, then maybe this is the one for you. Now, again, if they come out with the Hisuian version, maybe that Hisuian version will actually be a really cool dual typing, awesome looking overall, and have a great coverage pool and everything. But for now, this is probably not the Pokemon that I'm going to choose. All right, so now that Samurott's gone, it's really between the Decidueye and the Typhlosion. So I'm a little torn here. With the Typhlosion, we have the highest speed of the three. We have the highest special attack of the three. Flash Fire, which is fine, and it has the best overall resistances. Now, not immunities, but overall resistances to weaknesses, kind of the best ratio of the two. Decidueye has the best overall coverage. So Typhlosion, while it has that high special attack and high speed, is a little limited with its coverage pool, whereas Decidueye has a lot more options to be able to use. Now, it is going to have the highest attack, and it also does have a pivot move that you can use to pivot your Pokemon in and out of battle. So, which one should we choose here? Well, Decidueye also has Nasty Plot, and with Nasty Plot, it gives it the ability to also use the special attack side of its move pool. So it has a little bit more coverage, a little bit more versatility than the Typhlosion overall. But then you have to look at whether or not the speed tier mechanic that they're coming out with is going to be a huge factor. If your Decidueye is going to be outsped and the opponent is going to go multiple times in a row, your Decidueye might not even be able to live long enough for you to use it properly. Unless, of course, Trick Room is a thing. And then you build a Trick Room version of this Pokemon. But if that speed mechanic is such an undeniable, big, huge mechanic for this game, then my personal choice is going to start with the Typhlosion. So that's going to be my pick right now, is the Typhlosion. I think this is going to be the Pokemon of the three, again, unless there's Hisuian variants, that is going to be the best overall option for your first playthrough. Now, in your second playthrough, maybe you want to do the Decidueye or the Samurott, but for the first playthrough, I think that Typhlosion is going to be the moneymaker. Alright guys, so my choice is the Typhlosion. That's the one that I'm going to pick. Unless we get a Hisuian version, then I'll release another video based off of that. Otherwise, if you like this kind of content, please put it down in the comments. Let me know if this is good or bad, or what you want to see coming out of me next. Otherwise, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you hanging out, and I do look forward to seeing you in the next video. But until then, take care.